Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Good evening, one and all. Firstly, I would like to welcome you all in second day of 10 days FDP on our step-by-step guide to write a good research paper organized by Research Foundation of India in association with Faculty of Commerce, Parul University, Gujarat. Our today's session is on research design and sampling being taken by Dr. Shrestha Chabra, who holds a PhD degree in labor welfare. He has teaching experience of almost 21 years and taught at undergraduate, postgraduate, executive program, PhD coursework level, and guided research projects. In his present assignment, he is associated as Associate Professor with DCBS, an affiliate college of De Montfort University, UK. He has published in national and international journals, conferences, and dailies. He has edited lots of books. He is associated as reviewer with Global Journal of Labour, University of Witwatersrand, South Africa, Web of Science, Journal of HRM, Science Publishing Group, New York, USA, Journal Press India, Case Focus Journal, UK, Common Ground Research Networks, University of Illinois Research Park, USA, and International Management Conference, ASC, Bucharest. He is also serving as member of editorial board with Annals of Human Resource Management Research, Indonesia, International Journal of Science and Management Studies, Universal Journal of Business and Management, USA, and International Journal of Academic Research and Development. He is a mentor with Startup India, a Government of India platform for nurturing entrepreneurship, and also with a Bean Cube Incubation Center backed by Government of Chhattisgarh. He is the head Indore and Nimar for Research Foundation of India and member of Asia News. He was appointed as member of scientific committee of the second International Conference on Future Communication and Computing Technology, Mumbai, Maharashtra, and member of outreach committee of ICCIMBE International Conference. He has been appointed as session chair for national and international conferences. He also has conducted MDPs for MSME, State Electricity Board, police, and other corporates as well. He has been recognized by Rotary Club, Amity Business School, INSYNC, and EMGSSM Trust. I welcome you, sir. We welcome you, sir. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Indu ma'am. And good evening, everyone present over here. A very good evening to Ajay sir, Indu Shukla ma'am, and all my respected colleagues who have joined me here for the today's session. Uh, Anil sir, your hand is raised. In any queries before I start, sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay, his hand is raised, so I believe I doubted if there is some query to which he wanted an answer to. Okay, so my idea would be simple. I believe which language would be comfortable to you? Hindi, English, or a mix?
English language, sir.
English, fair enough. Uh, so I believe everyone would be comfortable with English as a language of communication. Should you have any doubts or you want to ask me anything, please raise your hand. So I would consider a hand raise as that you have got any query, you have got some queries to be answered. I do understand that it's a Sunday evening that we are talking about, and I do understand this that all my respected female colleagues who are here, they would have a busy schedule, especially on a Sunday. So still, you are here. So my respect to you. Okay. So my topic for the day, I would be sharing my screen, and only one small request from everyone. Please, please keep your mic muted during this. Okay, so is it visible? Is my screen visible to you?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, thank you. Uh, okay, so I would be, talking about two different ideas to you. The research design in the first one and sampling in the second one. And since we are talking about, uh, that how to, the topic of this entire 10-day program is to give you an idea, or just to brush up your idea. If you already have an idea, just to brush up your idea as to what has been, I would be largely sharing it from my perspective as to what you can do with the research design of a research paper. As Indu ma'am rightly pointed out, that RFI strives continuously to bring about good topics, and people who can, who can contribute something to see. When we were growing as a researcher, I don't say that I'm still growing as a researcher, I'm still a student. When we started off with research, uh, we had a limited idea as to how, how things are to be deliberated, how, what should I do, what should I not do. There are enough of what should I say, there are enough of confusions, and then there are overwhelming ideas every researcher has, which he or she wants to do a research paper on, if not a PhD. Okay, so he wants to explore many dimensions. As a researcher, you may think over many dimensions of the research, that there is a disjoint between theory and practice, and this disjoint you want to observe in real life. So that's how you want to, you want to explore various dimensions of research. You may be in a fix that, okay, what should I do about this research, or how should I go about this research. During this discourse of one and a half hour, that has the time that has been allotted to me, I would try and explain you this idea as to how and what you can do with with the starting point of your framework, and how you can proceed ahead on that thing. Okay. uh, okay, so my slides are shifting and you can see them. Yes. Yes. Okay, so see, primarily we have started with an idea that as to how we want to design, what is my idea of research. I am pretty sure that yesterday's session would have enlightened you on this idea as to how to choose a topic of your research. Still, I would, just brief upon it, because it's I will be connecting it to my topic today. uh, the primary idea is that when you start with an idea of, maybe of a writing of a research paper, since we are concentrating as of now on research paper and not on your PhD topic, when you try and talk about your research topics or research papers, if you are doing a PhD, if you are pursuing, is there someone in the group who is already pursuing, who are already pursuing PhD?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir. Yes, sir.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So there may be, there may be some, some, what I should use. There may be some idea to you that you should be writing research paper. You should be presenting research papers on the conference. These research papers should be, linked with your thesis, so on. Ideas like this. Okay, you might have been told these ideas. I have two hands raised. In any confusions, any doubt? I have two hands raised, Anil ji and Prerna Dwivedi ji. I have two hands raised. In any doubts to both of them, or is it, it was just raised by mistake? Okay, no issues, no issues, absolutely no issues. Okay, so when you are trying to finalize a topic, or when you are trying to, I come back to what I was talking to you, that you have picked up a topic from your PhD. Okay, now my advice to you, or my point of starting would be that, one, uh, never, almost don't give away your top, almost don't write a research paper which is quite similar to your PhD topic. That is the first level of caution that I'm giving to you. Okay, unless and until your PhD is published, that means your viva is done and it is, finally approved, your thesis is finally approved, don't ever write a research paper with a similar type of a topic. Point number one. Point number two, don't try to, just copy paste things from your PhD. Okay, in the sense that, like say, some people I have seen that, they pick up the material exactly from their, they lift the material exactly from their PhD topic. They lift yesterday only I was session chair in a conference with Chennai, a virtual conference in Chennai, and this gentleman had picked up, he was explaining me the instrument design of that he has done in his research, in his PhD. He's proposing in his PhD. Now, the only, why I'm saying this to you, that you should not pick up any topic or any problem given exactly that is exactly given in your research, because someone may, I may like the idea, someone may pick up that idea, people can copy paste it very easily. So it's not very, pertinent enough, or it's not, what should I say, it's not good enough, it's not wiser enough that you pick up the similar idea as you have picked up in your PhD. At least, okay, if you have not, if you have not submitted your PhD, or your PhD is not your, until and unless you're through with your PhD. Okay, so don't do that, though that is a remotest possibility, but yes, that can happen. So you can have a similar, what should I say, a similar topic, a similar idea, or a similar topic to your PhD, so that it can be counted in your PhD for sure. But still, do not try to pick up the exact thing. This is my first level of caution to you. Then, uh, there may be, ideas that may come and go in your mind every day. Okay, if you're associated with some research group, or if you, as a faculty colleague, if you talk to yourself, there may be hundreds of research ideas which may travel to your mind every day. Not every research idea is worth exploring, believe me. Okay, there may be already researches which have been already done, and you are, you're just doing it for the sake of doing. Okay, you can, but still, my level of my level of caution to you is that, don't just pick up an idea just for the sake of doing a research. I tell you of a case. A student approached me for his PhD, and he said that, sir, I bought in a fantastic idea. That's a brilliant idea. I'm sure no one has done it earlier, and it's out of the world. And he praised this his idea for half an hour, and then he started explaining me this idea. I'm like, at least, please do that. And I opened up Google, and he questioned me, sir, what exactly you're trying to do? As soon as you say the topic, I would Google it in front of you to figure out that, how great, or how new is this idea. And then he felt a bit offended initially. So when I googled this idea, there were already three or four theses in the top research. In the first page itself, there were already three or four theses which were available on a similar topic. Then there were, plethora of research papers that followed. And then I turned the screen towards him, and then I said to him that, please have a look. So that's what I'm saying. There are certain ideas which don't need any type of research. Point number one. Point number two, there are ideas, as I told you, when you are new to research, you figure out that, okay, there are n number of problems. There are problems which are, society is facing, this, that, whatnot, and you want to do a research on that. One of my PG student, he came up with an idea that, I want to do a research on rape victims. I said, okay, what exactly you want to do on this? And so he explained his idea. I'm not getting into the detail of idea as of now. So my only question to him, the first question that I asked him, that how you are going to collect the data. His idea was that there are victims who don't report it to police, or maybe who I might have reported it to police, but you know maybe still waiting for a justice or something like that. That was his rough idea. And my only question was that how are you going to collect your data? And he was awestruck. He did not have any peculiar answer as to how he would collect that data. How a rape victim who has never registered a case, sir. uh, okay, Prernaji, I'm answering your question to this. So my point is that have an initial plan made in your mind. You may not be that's what it's written over here. Create a blueprint. Have a clear, if I do understand that when you start with your research, you do not have a clearer idea. No issues, absolutely no doubts on that. You're, it's fair. But the only point that I'm trying to tell you about is that create a blueprint which is largely okay. I hope you are getting my point. Create a blueprint that you are able to understand that from where I'm going to get the data, how I'm going to get the data, how I would sample, who may be my samples. Answer such basic questions. Okay. See, if you want to plan a building, if you want to plan your house, you would have these basic questions. Yes, your architect would answer you basic questions, your engineers, your site people, they would answer these basic questions for you. So in research also, have such simple question answered before you actually jump into a topic. The problem is that people want to explore many things. I give you a very simple example. A colleague of mine, she was doing her PhD into some banking NPAs. Okay. She is from finance, and she was struck with this idea. She picked up some topic, or somebody asked me of a question regarding objective. I'm coming to you, Prerna ji, on this. uh, he questioned me on objectives. When you are talking about objectives, be very peculiar about the objectives and how you are, how would you achieve those objectives in your research. Why I'm saying this, one of our objectives was to you know get some data from the bank, not the published one. Try and get the difference. See, till you are doing you say, for example, if you are a finance teacher, do I have some finance teachers in this group?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. Sneha ma'am is there. So ma'am, you would understand this thing that we calculate certain ratios. Okay.
Yes, yes.
And this is based on, you might have given this assignment to your kids in the classroom, that you can use a published balance sheet, and based on this published balance sheet, you can calculate the ratio. So that data is available in the public domain. But remember, a bank, or in that case, many such organizations won't divulge any data to you, which they feel that's categorized, that's classified, and that's close to their heart. Okay. So in finance, you understand that it's many data can be there, or many data information can be there, which is generally not divulged even to a researcher. So while framing your objectives, while creating that, so you should have that thing in mind. You should have, while you are designing the research, in your initial phases of research, you must be clear with this idea that there would be certain information, especially if I'm doing it research in finance, that the banks, any other institutions, or even as a household, they may not declare it. Okay. Before I move ahead, I have three hands raised. I would try and answer them one by one. I would take up the first doubt by Prerna ma'am. Sir, but we need to publish papers from objectives. How is it possible not to take similar topic of PhD for publishing paper? Okay, ma'am. See, I do understand that PhD is, when you consider, if you are trying to link a paper with a PhD, finally, when you would mention that in your thesis, they would see the similarity of the topic. Agree?
Yes, sir.
Okay, but you can always tweak a topic to a bit.
Okay.
Okay, you can always supply some variables, you can always consider some variables which may not be initially considered in your PhD. Point number one, you may not be exactly considering the same variables that are already considered in your PhD. This I am talking to you, ma'am, in the sense that since you are not submitted your PhD, once you are submitted your PhD, it's available in Shodhganga, it's on the public domain, then that's not an issue. My only level of caution, an extreme level of caution, is that somebody may lift an idea from that, and they can benefit it from there. So that's why I put it, I made it a point, Prerna ma'am, to raise this caution to you, that while you are picking up a topic, specifically if you are a researcher, then it's my advice to you, it's my simple suggestion to you, that please do not do exact the same thing. You can tweak the variables, you can try a different combination, you can you can do many things with your topic exactly, to make sure that you are presenting the similar topic, not the same topic. I hope my point is clear to you, ma'am.
Yes, sir, it is clear, but
Yes, ma'am.
um, it would be more clear if you explain this with an example.
Sure. Can I pick up your example, ma'am?
Uh, yes, sir, sure, sir.
Sure. What's the topic of your research, ma'am?
Work-life balance.
Work life balance.
Yeah.
What variables have you picked up?
So again, as you said, it is a public domain. I cannot.
No issues. Work life balance, you can say, for example, if you are doing work life balance in, say, a bank, for example.
Okay.
Okay, so work life balance in a bank, so you might have picked up certain variables to explain work life balance. Okay,
Yes. Yes.
now what you can do is that you can tweak your research to talk about that. Okay, work life balance, say for example, there are many journals who would accept your bibliographic research. Okay,
Okay.
so you can always do a secondary research of a work life, or a what you call as a review of literature type of research on work life balance in banks, a bibliometric study, something like that.
Okay, so.
That can be point number one. Point number two can be that you can just take up one of your objective, tweak a little bit. Okay, like say work life balance, and say a difference between, say, obviously we would be coming on to that example in research design, that you want to do a cross sectional study between male and female.
Okay, sir.
So you can pick up a very small part of it. Don't give a complete idea. Don't disclose the complete idea. That is what my point is, ma'am. I'm not trying to say that pick up entirely a different idea, like say work-life balance and teachers, when your exact topic is on banks. So you have to again dig out variables and things like that, which may not be very relevant to your research. So my only idea to you is that pick up a similar topic. I repeat it, pick up a similar topic, not the same topic.
Okay.
Am I
And
clear?
what is the objective?
Yes, ma'am, please.
And what about the objectives, sir? As I asked that we need to
That's what
publish.
my point is, ma'am. That you can tweak those objectives a bit. You can take a part of this objective. Say, for example, when you are framing objectives in PhD, what you would do, you would like say, see,
Identify the factors first.
yeah,
In,
you say,
in
for example, you might be taking 5 or 6 objectives in your thesis. Okay,
okay.
so what you can do is that you can pick up one general objective and one an objective which is tweaked from your thesis. So that would make 2 objectives are good enough to write a research paper to start with.
Okay, sir.
Okay, so that's how you can tweak it but still be relevant to it.
Okay, sir.
So have I answered you, ma'am?
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
Yeah, fair enough, ma'am. Sneha ma'am, you have raised your hand.
Sir, even same questions I have, like Prerna ma'am said. I got almost explanations, or I got the answer from your side. Only just can you give the example, like I'm doing a PhD on short term, long term market prices के basis के ऊपर how this IPO affect. उसमें
Okay,
मेरा objectives in that there would be objectives like listing day performance, or there would be anyway in title only it is their short term long term. So I should not choose that short term long term analysis factors for my research papers work.
no, ma'am. You can choose short term, long term. My only advice to you would be multiple. One, choose short term and long term objectives in different research papers.
Okay,
Point number
okay, got
one.
it.
Point number two, choose few, or say there it's say for example there are 5 parameters to say look into, say, short term, and another 7 parameters in, say, long term, for example.
Yeah, mine is related like IPO investment. It is good
Man,
for to
agreed.
keep those
My,
things.
my point is
Hmm.
that, like, say,
Hmm.
if there are 5 objectives in, say, short
Yeah.
term and another 5 objectives in long term. So while writing a research paper, don't talk about all
Mhm.
these 5 objectives.
Okay, okay. Hmm.
Okay, you can talk about you can pick up a very specific topic and an explanatory topic that, okay, say, impact of IPO on this factor, or impact of this factor on an IPO in the long run.
Okay.
I hope you getting my point, man.
Yeah, I'm getting it's like for example, I can make a point, but it is not directly related to the objectives.
Yes, means it should not, it should not be all related to objective.
Objectives, yes, yes. But
Okay.
if I want to write 5 or 6 papers or more than that, so again I need to go for objectives only, right?
Ma'am, can I answer rest of your questions after the session? I have
Yes,
got a,
yes, yes,
I have got a request from another participant that
yes,
if
please.
the queries
Yes,
can be
please.
after the session. Okay, fair
Yes,
enough.
sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Okay, okay. So we will carry on with this idea that while we are talking about a research design, we should maintain this ideas, or this this points in research design. One, as a researcher, don't be biased. Okay, even right from picking up of your topic to, you can have a general, you can maintain that neutrality. It's difficult, but do pick up, and please be sure on that idea that you are neutral while you are, you are writing those objectives, or you're trying to pick up methods or anything like that. So please be neutral on that idea. Reliability, and remember only one thing, as a researcher, at times we don't realize that when our, biasness, the, what should I say, the uninfluenced biasness get actually into the research. So the first, see, when I was, I was being trained as a teacher, my HOD, he asked me to come over, and he taught me the first lesson of being a teacher, that please maintain your kids out of your influence. Okay, don't try to create an influence on kids. Give them an information, supply them with an information. They are young minds. Let them, have their decisions, but don't be judgmental and evaluative of everything, and don't be biased on things. So that's the first thing which is required, not only as a teacher but also as a researcher, that please maintain neutrality. I would talk about these three ideas more. Reliability, as you understand that, it is whatever research design I am picking up, it would reliable. It would give the same measure. It would result into a same measure. If you have done some study in Gujarat, and if I use the similar scale, or if I use the similar thing into, or if I want to put up that thing, then from reliability it can be generalized. Please understand that thing, that from reliability and validity, you are trying to, generalization becomes easy. So your studies must be able to generalize, and please remember these 4 characteristics, because when we discuss it further, I would tell you that how, different ideas may not be generalized at times. Okay, so these are the 3 research design which I would be largely talking about in today's discourse. We start directly with the first one. uh, See, you want to see the impact of variables which are already there. You want to conduct a customer satisfaction study, anything like that. All variables, you want to report variables. Please remember this thing, you want to report variables. Then in that case, you would have a descriptive research design. Okay, so if you want to report what is, this is the status on ground. Okay, like say you want to say that, okay, government has framed this scheme, how much is it available to, the section for it was made. Okay, so that is that you're, in any, for that matter, anything. Okay, like say you want to do a survey on a company to figure out that, um, how much, the benefit as the company which is intended by the company is actually available to employees. Any such study would have a descriptive design. You are trying to describe what is the situation, what is the, what is the ground reality, anything like that. Then you would have to, then you would have a descriptive design. This is some examples that I've tried to put over, that you can, you can have a comparative study on certain things. You can compare between certain. Yes,
फुल
please.
पीने को आ जाओ चढ़े आप ऊपर आ जाओ
Pooja ma'am, if you can please mute your mic. Thank you. So you can compare between these two, you can compare between the two variables. So that becomes a comparative study, two or more variables. And then there you can draw a relationship, okay, between different, trying to draw between different variables. So that can be another way of doing it. Largely, you would find out that descriptives are three types in its nature. So case studies, we generally deal with case studies in class. Only one limitation. Remember what I have told you in the starting point, that, case studies cannot be generalized. Okay. So while you are writing a case study, or you are picking up a case study method, uh, then even as a case study method, the only limitation is that it cannot be generalized. See, what can be good with a certain thing may not be good at another thing. Okay, so while picking up a sample, please understand that even while I would be talking about sampling, please pick up that, your sample, when you would defend your thesis, or, when you would talk about that thing, then yes, please.
Sir, you are not properly audible.
I'm not audible, ma'am.
Hello.
Ma'am, am I audible
No,
to
no.
everyone?
Right now you are actually.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. So am I audible now?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Sir.
sir.
Yes, sir, it is audible, sir.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, ma'am, for pointing it out. I might have lost my voice somewhere. So I continue with what I was telling, that at times it happens that case study methods may be followed. You may be, doing a case study, but at times it happens that the only limitation of following a case study method is that you may not be, you may not be, you aren't able, you may not be, rather, you aren't able to, generalize it. So if you are planning any case study, this is one question which would be pertinent. While, I would be talking it in sampling again, this would be one question which would be pertinent even in your thesis and in your, research paper also, that can this study be generalized. Okay, that's the external validity. Okay, like say, if I have picked up a similar case, then would that be valid in, say, in other context also? Can I, say for example, I give an example from research to understand this thing. If, say, out of my thesis or my case study, I have done a research paper on, say, comparing between, say, welfare facilities available to contractual employees versus permanent employees. And if I'm saying that, contractual employees are provided with these facilities, or these are not provided with such facilities, if I'm doing it based on one organization, on a particular organization, then that can be, that cannot be generalized. I cannot say that, okay, I can give a suggestion that you can always follow best practice. Okay, in management, we talk about best practices. But in general terms, case studies are very difficult for any type of generalization, because, you understand this thing, that there are variables which may not be, which may not be same with all organizations. Okay, so there are certain good practices, there are certain not so good practices. So case studies have their own limitations. Cross-sectional studies. Cross-sectional studies are used when you are talking about, as I give you an example, that say you want to compare between, you want to do a gender comparative study. The example that I just gave you is an example of, again, a cross-sectional, also based on my objective and based on my sample, that I'm trying to do a say a case study, or a, a particular study based on, say, permanent versus contractual. So I'm picking up these two different things, so that becomes a so this is what, is a case study which I already talked about. So you can be very focused upon a particular organization and you can talk about that thing. So that can be a case study. So that would give an in-depth analysis of a particular case. As I told you, that this is a common practice that we use it during our classes. Okay, so that's what I said. Case studies are only a problem that they cannot be generalized. I was talking to you about this cross-sectional things, that you have got a group with a different characteristics, with a set characteristics. It can be gender, it can be any set characteristics which is generally non-duplicable characteristics. So you can have, you can have a two different groups on that thing. So if you have got two different groups on that thing, then that can be a point of cross-sectional studies. Okay, so you can look out for such variables on the basis of which we generally do. We collect demographic variables and we generally try and compare the different demographic variables based on income, based on gender, based on residence, based on maybe occupation, many things. So you can, you have to decide in your research that what type of cross-sectional or what type of demographic studies am I planning to do, or and how that would help in my research. And then we come on to the qualitative study. Am I audible to everyone?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. So qualitative studies, wherein you want to explore this idea more. I would be talking more about when we talk about the exploratory design. See, you may not be always clear about this thing. Like say, I'm recently doing a research paper based on the qualitative study, wherein we have conducted those interviews, semi-structured type of interviews, wherein this type of studies can come in. Usually you would find less of qualitative studies in general, I'm saying, and with due respect, usually you would find less of qualitative studies and more of quantitative studies. See, we have got this natural, I should use this word, we have got a natural inclination towards data. Okay, so if we have got this natural inclination towards data, that means how many tests we have put in. These are the general questions you would be asked as a researcher. Right or wrong, let's not get into it, but this is the general tendency. As a researcher, we are generally poised with such questions, that how many tests you have put in, how many, what you would do with this analysis. I'm not denying that you can use certain qualitative methods, but please understand that what is the purpose of using a qualitative method and what exactly you would be deriving. See, if I want not to float a questionnaire, I repeat, if I don't want to float a questionnaire, and if I want to do a qualitative study, then how, a qualitative study would be better than a questionnaire, because both would be there to capture the data. So what I can, where I should use a qualitative study or where I should use a questionnaire, that is something that I should be pretty clear about that, what method of data collection am I employing or deploying on that thing. So as I told you, it would have its own positives and negatives. The most important, I would talk about the most important positive on that thing. See, a questionnaire, even being very well designed, cannot capture, those nuances of research when you are trying to answer whys. Okay, this is what my research experience tells you. You cannot capture all nuances, or if you try to capture all nitty-gritties of the research, then that questionnaire would be elongated, quite elongated in its own understanding. So you may not be liking to have a very long type of questionnaire, and it's not point asking that how many questions would suffice. Many of my PhD research scholars, or they ask me this question, that, sir, how long should be my questionnaire? It's not about how long your questionnaire should be, or if you are planning a research, say a research paper, your questionnaire should be short. Point is not about short or long. Point is only two. One, I'm not dwelling questionnaire or questionnaire design in great details. Some of my colleague would be definitely doing this for you, but only since you have picked up this point, I would explain only two ideas to you. One, it is covering. You should be able to tell clearly that okay, these objectives are covered as per these questions, even if that is an interview. Okay, so be very objective in asking everything, whether it is on paper or it is an interview type of method. So be very clear that your length of question is determined by your objectives, not by that, how many questions should I put in. Okay. So that should not be what it should say. That should not be the criteria of asking someone or putting up it in a questionnaire. So usually at times you may not be, you you may not have a very, you understand it a bit, but you may not have established research to prove that. Please try and understand this. Like say COVID, it has happened over 2 years now, but and you might have attended several conferences and might have written several papers on how COVID, impact of COVID on this, impact of COVID on that. There is a flood of conferences on post COVID. What has been the impact of business in post COVID. No one can guarantee that this is the only impact. I give an example and then I correlate it with what I'm saying. I suffered from COVID, and after COVID, I realized this thing, or it was meaning to me that I've got a bit. What should I say? I've got some concern with my eyesight, so I went to my ophthalmologist. And ma'am, while examining me, she asked me a pertinent question that do you do you had COVID? And I said yes. And she said that there have been complaints as to that people who suffered from COVID, they have got an impact on their eyesight. So I asked her that is that a theory, or is that a proven type of thing, or is that a new research which is coming up? And she was like, no. So what happens that like you came with this complaint, so I would keep a noting on this such type of complaint, and then later on, maybe 5 or 6 years later, then we would be able to tell you that if you had COVID, then what all can be the impacts of COVID on your different body parts. Okay, so but it would take some time to establish this cause effect type of relationship. So that's what I'm saying. If you apply the similar theory on a business, on economy, on whatever your field of, yesterday I was telling you, I just told you that yesterday I was a session chair in a conference, and people were talking about, two of them talked about that online, how comfortable are teachers in their online learning. Okay, or online learning platforms, adaptability towards our online learning platforms, how comfortable are teachers over there. And one was talking about, I would come to that part later in my next example, that how is AI impacting the teachers. I would come to that on that. So you are known to something, but you are still unknown to other factors. So if this is your research parameter, then probably exploratory design can be useful on that thing. But the only thing is that, as I told you, you should be unbiased. So remember those criteria. Okay, let me quickly take you to this thing that we started with. Please remember these criteria. Okay, neutrality, reliability, validity, generalization. Because in each of these design, I would give you an example as to how you can be talking about a different thing. So at times you can be judgmental or you can be biased. You already have an impact of this thing that, and which may be a generalized impact, but at times it may not be a peculiar case. At times it may not be, generalizations may not be real. Okay, so you might have picked up either a wrong data, or you might have picked up a differential data, and you are just trying to look into that data. So are you critical enough to analyze what you are trying to pick up from that thing? Experimental researches, remember those EVS days? Go back to your school days. Remember those daily science type, everyday science practicals type, when you heard, you know whether the leaf has got something, or what, what would happen if I cover the half of the leaf. Done such experiments, or at least you might have read such experiments. Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so remember those science days, we used to read this, at least read this experiment, that if half of the leaf is covered with an aluminum foil, then it would turn pale green and another would turn green, and then you would write that, okay, happily, that, this proves that, hence proved that photosynthesis, requires sunlight, something like that. So on a larger area, you can talk about various things, you can experiment upon, you can pick up an experimental design to, to see that, okay, how things are moving, which are, which are not still there, but they are almost there. Like, say, another example that I've picked up for you is NEP. So people have been, since NEP has been there for 2020, people have been talking about NEP on various platforms, and still I go through various conferences, I go through various researches, which are still, on with the NEP. What can be the possible points of NEP? How you can talk about that? Chat GPT, it's everywhere talked about. So people are having their own. Yesterday, I was listening to this thing that how AI may impact the student learning and their learning factors, and many things like that. And some people have, they have made a statement that chat gpt is going to replace teachers. So think about that. An AI, a robot is a robot is teaching you in a class. Okay, so, or you're listening as of now to a robot, not to a human. So looks scary, but is that the future, or is that not the future? And then, you can have many ifs and buts applied to it. I'll give you an example. When I was doing my first MBA, uh, I had done a project on e-commerce. I had a subject as technology, and I had done a project on e-commerce way back in 2000. uh, there were studies which talked about that soon library would be an outdated type of things, bank tellers would be an archaic things, they would be a dinosaur type of things, which are, people have heard about it, but they haven't seen it. So, when the new generation comes in, bank teller counters won't be existent. So everything would go online, books would be online, libraries would be online, all this so-called physical world or this physical facilities would be sooner or later replaced by online things. 2023, 23 years later, I still wondered what has happened to it. Okay, I do understand. I'm not getting into any, as of now, I'm not getting into this argument. Why didn't happen and what, went other ideas. I'm not getting into any such argument. But I'm trying to tell you that if you have got, there are people I've seen that, who reject technology every time. Okay, so they have got a different mindset or idea onto it, on technology, that how will technology be able to replace humans, and they find technology to be, highly unreliable, highly unpredictable. They talk about cyber crimes and whatnot. Then there are class of people, or there are people who have, who have actually gone through this technology, or who are working on such technology, and they can tell you, they can take you to that future which can be scary for you and me. So there are those type of people. So which part of argument would you like to pick up? Okay, and as a researcher, my advice to you would be that try and be critical in your approach. And by critical means that you are trying to balance out both these ideas. When you are trying to, draw material for your research, you're trying to balance out all these ideas. And that's where at times you may have, you may like to go for an impact of a certain, say, of a certain factor. Okay, like, say, so you have got a control group and a test group. So remember those Hawthorne experiment studies? Those are, those are those experimental studies that you have got certain control group and a test group. So control group is supplied with the variable, test groups are not supplied with the variable, one after that. So you can, you can find out that, okay, this is the impact of this variable on this study. Okay, and other factors obviously remaining constant. So you have got this rule of demand, law of demand, law of supply. There are huge number of rules in or laws in economics wherein you talk about that there are factors which are kept constant. Okay, so that's how there can be design, or this can be a design wherein you are trying to test on certain variables, wherein you are trying to test the variables, impact of those variables on certain things. Well, like say, can attendance be a predictable factor in, say, in determining the grades? I hope you got my question.
Yes,
Attendance
sir.
and its impact on grades. That means attendance during the class and its impact on grades.
Yes, sir. There would be an
Here,
impact.
here
So,
attendance is hello.
yes, ma'am, please continue.
Here attendance is a independent variable and grace is a dependent variable.
Agreed, ma'am. What I'm trying to talk to you, ma'am, is that you can use such type of designs. Okay,
Yes, sir.
on while you are, if you are, see, if you want to evaluate on this idea, that what can we say, if I want to talk about this idea that um, say I'm trying to explore an idea. Let me give you another idea. I want to do a study that how the design of the classroom impacts the attendance of the student or their willingness to attend the class. Is it okay?
Yes. Yes,
If the
sir.
class, sorry, I'm sorry, I missed on someone who was telling me something. So I hope my question is clear to you. My question is that I want to make a study on this idea that how uh, you know introduction of certain variable can impact the market. Okay, so I can do a study on that thing, that how absence of certain variable, how presence of certain variable. Remember those Dove ads? Okay, that you put up on one cheek you are putting up another cream or some other soap, and on another side of the face you are putting up Dove, so you can make out the difference. So presence or absence of variables, that can be studied, and that is what would make up a pre or post test type of things that can make up a experimental design. Okay, so as I told you, that would be, not all subjects are related to experimental design. Please look into that thing, and then you can have a mixed design approach. Okay, so at times it can be exploratory to some part, and rest part can be descriptive. So you can have such type of mixed designs, or obviously. Now I come to a very important question to close this discussion on design. That how do you choose a research design? And my important idea would be this. Okay, I give you an idea that as to I should think about it, that why I am picking up say why I'm picking up this idea that I want to replace a questionnaire with an interview or vice versa. Okay, how would I access secondary data? So I should look into my resources. I should look into the cost of those resources, accessing those type of resources. As I started telling you, that at times bank may not divulge you any data. That's categorical or that is classified. You stop. Don't talk about banks or anything. Even for example, you may be trapped with certain questions or certain thing areas wherein, like say somebody was telling me, Prerna ma'am, your topic is, say for example, work life balance. So at times people may not openly tell you that they are overburdened in work. Okay, they have got their own apprehension. Ask me, I've done some studies like this, and some people actually chased me to find out that am I sent by the HR of the company, because I was asking certain questions, like I was asking general, asking, I was doing a study on employee satisfaction, and they were, I was particularly people practically figured out that they were not, they were not what should I say, they were doubting on this idea that am I an external researcher or am I someone appointed by the organization to find out that the inside story about it. So at times you may face certain challenges like this. So while framing the entire thing, while framing the study, please be, that's what I said. What resources have you onto the consideration? And for that matter, at times you may be told that, okay, go ahead, I would support you in this research. Don't plan a research on someone's, assurance, please. Okay. Plan a research based on this idea that this research is valid. There can be n number of things which you have to look into as to why you want to do this research. But my idea is that don't plan a research based on someone's assurance that don't worry, I would get you the data. You never know, the person may, by the time you are actually on to data collection, the person may be transferred, the person leaves the job, n number of things can happen. Okay. That organization may become irrelevant to you. Anything is possible. So please do not pick up an idea of writing even a research paper on someone's assurance of getting your data. Okay. How reliable that data would be, there can be many questions that you can look into. So that's why I have highlighted this thing, that one of the best ideas to start with, that which research design should I follow, if that is your question, is to that, you conduct a literature research, and that is what can give you an idea as to how you can find out, or how you can figure out a research design that you can choose onto it. Okay. And most importantly, remember that what is your research question, what is that you are trying to get into. Based on that thing and other ideas, maybe talk to your colleagues, talk to someone who is already there in the research. He or she can help you. I told you starting when I started off my presentation, that when we were quite young as a researcher, we are still a student, but when we were, when we were starting a point of our research, we had n number of confusions. So seniors can always be one approach that you can look forward to. Now I come on to the second part of my presentation. I'm not stopping for any doubts or queries. We are left with half an hour more. So I'm not stopping for any doubts or queries. Please note down those doubts and queries, and then we can talk about it further. So I'm continuing straight on to my sampling and sampling distributions. Okay. You're sure about you might be clear about this idea. See, remember that in marketing, you have got something as your target market. Okay. So that target market is your, this entire target market is your population. Now, out of this population means that, those relevant people who can be, those relevant population. If I'm doing a gender-based study, then I'm specifically on what grounds I'm doing. If I'm doing a study on, say, a rural and an urban market, or a rural market, so that rural population becomes my target market. So that is what is my population. And out of that population, I have to derive out, or I have to select people who can answer me. Okay. Now I would be coming on to that, whether I do it randomly or non-randomly, that's a different story, but that's how you pick up a sample which is out of your population. Okay. Population means all relevant audience becomes your population. Okay. And remember that thing, that when you have got if you are doing some research into a very niche area, okay, or if you are researching into a very niche area type of thing, or very, a smaller size of area, then obviously a census is something which is highly recommended, because then every member of your population becomes your sample. We choose sample from a population, provided the I would be coming on to this, that, how much is the sample representative of the entire population. So both in terms of characteristics, in terms of numbers. But if the entire, say, if I want to do a research on, say, on a certain parameter, and there are, say, another, say, I want to do a research, or I'm writing a case study, say, on I adopted a case study method, and I'm writing it on an organization. So almost all members of the organization becomes a source of data for me. So then that would be a census based study. Okay, then I have to, I have to make sure that I have to do 100%. Then I cannot go and pick up from the source, from the population. I have to make sure that if any of such research, any parameter of research which you have chosen indicates a very niche type of or a very selective type of a area, then you have to make sure that that selective problem everyone has to be recorded as a population. So that becomes a unit. Okay. So we have already talked about the samples number, and I would be detailing it about samples number and size of the sample. Remember that you can have different, again, you have to look into what type of constraints or what type of considerations you have got in terms of equally in terms of cost consideration, because getting out, going out, getting the sample, uh, people, how approachable are they, how do you do a study on that thing, so that at times becomes very tedious task. So remember that you would have from other resource-free constraint, resource-based constraint, you would have equally a constraint on cost as well. So please keep that in mind. Now I come on to the types, different ideas onto sampling. As I told you, you can go on for a random and a non-random. In a random and non-random sampling type, you have to make sure that if you're picking up random, then uh, give me a minute, please. Give me a minute. Sorry. So if you are picking up a random sample, that means, say, if you throw open a question in a class and anyone can stand up and answer. Okay. So, like, say, if I ask you, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So, from the entire group, anyone can answer. Okay. So, this is a random sample. Aarti ma'am, am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, so now this becomes a non-random. Okay, so the same question can be asked in two different ways. Okay, so that means you can throw it open and anyone from the population can pick up that thing, or anyone, everyone has got an equal chance to participate in the survey that you are conducting in or in your study. Then it is a random sample. If not, then that becomes a non-random sample. So I would quickly take on to that thing. Simple random sample techniques. Like, say, you pick up a list from a school, from a college, and you randomly, say you have got a residents of building list, you have got employees list, any list. Okay, for random sampling, and having a list becomes necessary, because otherwise, how would you choose it from a sample? So you pick up a list out of that, and from that, anyone can be chosen to answer that question. So it's easier, as I told you, all these examples that I gave you, this would be a list of few maybe few hundreds. Okay, so from few hundreds it becomes easy to apply a simple random sample. Okay, like, say, you have got a society in which you have got, say, 100 flats. So there would be, you know that there would be names of 100 families or 100 owners of the flat. So it becomes easy for you to do a study like this. In a stratified sampling, remember, that's a non-overlapping. I repeat, in a stratified sampling, it becomes a non-overlapping. Not overlapping, take a look at this example. Okay. So this becomes a non-overlapping type of gender. Okay. Anything which is definite characteristics. Okay. Anything which is a definite characteristics becomes, becomes a point of study for you to identify or to select a sample which is very, very definitive in nature. Okay, so like say, in if you might have studied database, you call it as a primary key. Okay, so like say roll number of a student. So that's very definitive. That's non-duplicate in nature. No two students can have the similar roll number, enrollment number. You can think about any such characteristics, any such ideas which are very distinctive in nature, which are non-overlapping. See, either I can be in one age bracket or in the another age bracket, provided I have defined the age bracket rightly. Okay, at times what happens that when researchers start picking up the sample, they are not very peculiar about whom they want, or how they want to go ahead with that thing, and that's what that's what creates a point of confusion to use yourself as well as to the one who is answering it. Okay, I'm not talking about the confusing questions. I'm talking about even while picking up demographic variables, be very sure of to as to like say you can ask me that if I'm 30-year-old, where should I put my age into? 20 to 30 or 30 to 40? You getting my question?
30 to 40.
Are you getting my question?
Yes, sir.
It becomes confusing.
Yes, little bit.
Okay, so that's what I'm saying. That do not, don't try to pick up a question which is, or don't try to give a range which is, which becomes confusing to a person. Okay, say which class you belong to. I'm doing a school-based study. Which class I belong to? 8 to 10th or 10 to 12. Now, if I'm studying in 10th, which one should I take? I hope you are getting my point. Despite of the fact that you wanted these characteristics to be non-overlapping, you have asked a question through which these characteristics have become overlapping. So it unnecessarily would create a confusion in answering your questionnaire. So even while picking up a be clear on that thing, that the sampling technique that you are picking, if you have picked up stratified sample, then please make sure that you are asking questions which capture those strata. I hope my question, my point of discussion is clear to everyone.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Then I come to a systematic sample. Systematic sample is simple. Like say I give an example, and let's explain it with an example. I have to pick up a starting point. Say, for example, I have got a list in my hand of a society which has got, say, 500 flats. Okay, so I want to do a research on that society. So I have got a list with me of those owners of 500 flats. I have to decide on, say, I want a sample of, say, 50, 100, whatever sample you may decide on to. And so, as you know, as it's evident in the example, that I should determine an constant k or a starting point as k. So I determine it as, say, 200. So then every, I pick up, say, 45, and then I pick up after every 200 or something like that. So that becomes a, the point I'm trying to talk is that in a systematic sampling, you follow an order of it. I hope you're getting my point. As compared to a simple random sample, you are in a systematic sampling, you're trying to follow an order out of it, that you pick up a simple, a simple point of starting, and thereafter you go on with the repetition of similar point. Remember only one thing, that systematic sampling would yield a result provided you have not done anything with the list. It's not alphabetically arranged, it's not gender wise arranged, it's not, there is no pattern in the list that say after every 10th number certain thing is repeated. Try and get my point. Say, for example, I give you a similar example that I'm doing a research on a society, and in the research in my, say, 500 flats, I have made it a point that after every 20th number I have put a flat which is on rent. I hope you're getting my point. Some assortment of the list is so done that after every 20th number, there is the 21st, after every 20 flats, the next number would be of a rented flat. Okay, so my 21st, 41st, 61st, these all numbers are rented. Now, as a researcher, I may not know this. So say, for example, I am picking my K, the example that I've shown you, my case shows me that I have to pick up 18. So that means repetition would be after every 18. Now, eventually what would happen? Eventually this would happen that you won't collect any data from a rented house. You would be, because of your sampling or because of the list which was given to you, not the sampling, but because of the list that was given to you, you end up picking up only flat owners, not the rented people. Am I clear on this idea? So please make sure that while you are planning a stratified sample, the list which is available to you should not be, again, there should not be any biasness in the list. that it's not arranged in a particular order or a sequence or alphabetical. Otherwise, say, for example, if there can be certain alphabets on which people would be least named. So your chance of asking a question to a certain named people would be quite less. It can be anything, based on your research objective. It can be anything that you may be missing on if the list is biased in nature. The last one, as a part of random sampling, cluster-based sampling. Cluster-based samplings are very useful if you are doing a data or if you are doing a research based on areas. Okay, like say for example, if I want to capture a data of many research topics come up to you which have got they pose as a variable that say based on Indore, say for example, or say based on Vadodara, based on a certain city, the city that you live in. Okay, you might have seen various research topics based on your state or your non-district. Say for example, let's question it. Okay, anyone has picked up certain topic which is based on a district or a state or a
Yes, sir.
division maybe?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
And while you are doing, I'm not getting particularly into your study as of now, but while you are doing this study, you might have given that, okay, say for example, the district comprises of say 7 places. Okay, and your guide might have told to you that you have to collect the data, or while you are written up in your synopsis, you have to collect this data from all these 7 districts. Now that's where cluster sampling comes into play. Say for example, forget about that, whether I have picked up that as a part of my research. I want to do a study of say customer satisfaction in Indore city, or in the city that you live in, Vadodara, whichever city that you live in. I want to, so what should I do? I should pick up representative sample from, can I pick up representative sample from say all, if I'm doing a study on SBI. Okay, so that would, I just, for example sake, I picked up SBI, nothing to do specifically with SBI. Since I would explain that why I've given example of SBI. So there are many numbers, there would be huge number of branches of SBI in Indore or in your city. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Then how would you make sure that, then which branches would pick? On what criteria would you select the branch?
Depending upon the objective which we have considered.
Ma'am, let's keep it simple. I have given an example that I want to do a customer satisfaction survey in SBI. That's my simple research idea. I'm not trying to complicate anything.
Well,
So
it
what
will happen.
Yes, ma'am. If you can please repeat. I'm sorry, I missed on your voice. Yes, someone was answering this question. I repeat, my simple idea is that I want to do a customer satisfaction survey of say SBI in Indore or any geographical area. You can pick up any geographical area.
Number of customer we can say.
Sir, is the number of customer here? Agreed. Number of customers should be a criteria. Obviously, number of customers should be a criteria, because Indore would have say, or your place with say 50 branches of SBI would have at least hundreds of customers. So yes, agreed.
Yes,
Number of
yeah.
customers is a criteria. What else?
And we can also say the amount of interest, somewhere it will be high, somewhere will be low.
Sir, agreed. I'm not getting on to that area. My point that I'm trying to explain is that, say there are 2 branches, or there are, I give you a simple example. I picked up a customer, say a sample of 200. Okay. and there are the area that I live in the part of the city of the area which I live in, uh, is there are three branches of SBI. So I can go to these three branches or four branches of SBI. I collected that sample of 200 customer, and based on that, would you be, would you validate that research?
Yes, sir.
No, no, sir.
No, sir.
Would this research be valid?
No.
No, no.
Why? I collected it from Indore.
But you have missed the collection part, like geographical area, sir. Like it is coming from some single geographical area.
Now, I hope you got my point. In such cases, you would use a cluster
So
sample.
actually what you have to do is
Yes,
you
please.
can
Please
find such
continue.
geographical areas elsewhere in the city. The entire city should be
Yes, please, ma'am. Please continue. I hope my point is taken.
sir, yes, sir. So the
Okay.
entire geographical area which you are
Yes.
considering should be divided into definite areas, and samples should be taken from those definite areas.
Absolutely great. So, I should have those representative branch. Someone put it very right that I should have the number of customers with me, but that sample size should be, divided into those areas. Say, if I'm saying that, okay, north, east, west, those south, or say I'm dividing Indore into two parts, and then I'm taking up customers from both this representative area. So that I can say that okay, this study covers the Indore city. I hope my question, my point is taken.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
So
sir.
that's where you would practically use a cluster sampling. Non-random sampling, convenience is one thing that whomsoever was interested in answering my question, or I can figure out. I say I stood in front of a shopping mall. All those couples who were coming out, I asked them a question. So whomsoever I felt that they would be, a easy approachable type of thing. So I approached them and I got an answer from them. If this is your thing, then that you are using convenience sampling. You can be, you can have, say, for example, I want to do a research on how much, say, I give a very simple idea. Okay, everyday practical problem. I want to buy an agricultural land. Okay, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
Okay, I want to go buy an agricultural land. Now, one of my friend has shown me a land, and he has said that this land is very good and things like that. Whom should I ask about buying this agricultural land?
The farmer.
The farmer to whom this land belongs to?
No, the farmer who is easily available near to us.
Okay, good. Who else?
The survey people nearby within the that range.
Okay, and survey people means?
Maybe the localites, local people who are staying in that region,
Very good.
who knows this person.
Sir,
That's good.
concerned Gram Panchayat head.
Concerned Gram Panchayat. Very good. Whom else can I approach to?
Sir, concerned area office, assistant
Concerned
director of
area
agriculture.
office. Okay.
And
Uh,
online
the-
survey number we can inquire, sir. Online
Sorry,
survey
ma'am.
numbers. Online survey numbers we have to
Online
inquire.
survey numbers. Okay. Ma'am, see, my question is that I want to know that, how much how good is this land? How fertile is this land? If I'm
the
wanting
soil surveyor people, those who check the soil
Great.
whether it is a fertile land or not.
absolutely
These
great.
people.
Okay, whom else? If I know some agricultural scientist or who is, who is a authority in agriculture, someone like that.
सर as
Yes.
सर एडिया ऑफिस, मतलब कि सर जो एडिया ऑफिस है उसमें हम जाएंगे तो हम कंसर्न सब कुछ मिल जाएगा सर.
Bilkul, great. So that means I am using a judgment sampling. I understand that, I should ask this question to the people whom I feel my judgment says that they would be knowing this. So even Gram Panchayat office or this concerned area office or the people who live nearby, the farmers nearby, anyone whom I feel that they are, they are authorities in this area, or they are the authorities over this subject, and if I approach them, then I can get the data from them, okay, of which can, complete my research. If I'm using that, then that is a judgmental sampling, okay. And then quota and stratified are similar in nature. The difference is random and non-random, okay. So you can pick up a quota and you can control that quota, that okay, this is this much questions I would ask from this person, or say I want to do a research between 10th and 12th students. So 10th and 12th, and then I would fix up a quota from 10th and 12th, okay. So this and this I would be doing non-randomly, okay. Snowballs are very good, or rather I should say snowballs are a brilliant way of sampling if I am sampling on some problems which are not very, explicit in nature. Say for example, if my survey is to be done on say drug habits in youngsters, okay, how should I go about collecting this sample? I hope you got my research question. Drug habits in youngsters.
So
Sorry?
through the medical areas where the how the how the medical shops are selling, what type of medicines are youngsters are taking, one.
Okay.
Second, where nearby the colleges, how the nearby the college where there is more collegiate of students or youngsters, or PAN centers, the peak areas where these youngsters are in the mob
Okay.
part.
Okay. Okay. See,
Better in a de-addiction center.
in a de-addiction center, quite good. So what I can do, say, I can approach one of the de-addiction centers, okay, and the youngster who is undergoing a treatment at de-addiction center, from him I can get a reference of someone else who, because he would be knowing someone else, agreed, who has a similar habit. From that I can know someone else. So this is where referral sampling comes in. So you may be picking up a research which may be extremely, that may not be very explicit in this idea. So you need to have a starting point. Say you give me a very good idea that I can go to a de-addiction center. From a de-addiction center, I can go to somewhere. With that reference, I can go to somewhere else. So I am using a referral sampling, and that's how I create a mass out of it. Okay. So that's how you can pick up a sampling method which is more suitable to you. Okay. At times what is happen that at times you may pick up as I started telling you that, either you have poorly conceptualized the entire area or entire method of research, you have picked up a wrong sample, you are questioning a wrong person just because, I give another example. Just because it was convenient for you, you picked up anyone to answer. I hope you're getting my point. Just because it was convenient to you, you picked up anyone to answer, okay, which may or may not be the right subject to whom you are talking to. I give you a very simple example. As a teacher, I'm addressing to teachers, I believe, most of you. Yes?
Yes, sir.
If
Yes,
you are
sir.
addressing,
I hope.
yeah, I also hope that, ma'am. If we are addressing the non-attendance, or if you're, management has asked that what is happening, there are non-attendance, there is a non-attendance issue. Whom we would talk to this non-attendance issue? The one who are attending. At times it happens.
For my example, as we know any youth or any one of friend of mine, then we will discuss it. We will discuss with his or her.
Ma'am, most of the time, okay, with due respect, most of the time we talk non-attendance to the attending students. There are students who don't attend the classes. There are this is, indiscipline, and this is that. Now, my point is simple. Why we are talking non-attendance to the attending student? They are attending. No? So you should talk non-attendance to the non-attending students. If you are so concerned about non-attendance of the students, then you should talk non-attendance to the non-attending student, not to the attending student. Since they are sitting over here, that does not make them a sample to talk about non-attendance. So what I'm trying to tell you is that at times you pick up a wrong sample poorly, or you're not very clear about that whom you should be talking to your idea to be. Okay, so that is wherein you pick up or a sampling error, and God save you from any defective questionnaires. At times the questionnaires won't lead you to anywhere. That's what I'm saying. What I said, I'm not dwelling as of now on questionnaire design, but while designing a questionnaire, please make sure that you are, you should be able to tell us that question number 1, 3, 5, and 6, or any order, they refer to my objective number 1. Don't ask any question just for the sake of asking it. Okay, not knowing what to do with this question. At times it happens that we are either pressed by cutting down on the length of the questionnaire or increasing the length of the questionnaire, and most of the time it's on the cutting down on the length of the questionnaire. And while we trim on the questions, we may trim, or we may exclude certain questions which may be very critical to our study. Not ineffectively, in effect we are left with questions which do not, which may not exactly answer what we are trying to say. Okay, so hence you asked a right question to a wrong person or a wrong question to a right person, both of them won't give you any answer. So please save you from such errors. Okay, now I quickly move on to the last part of my presentation, and then I open the house. I would be a bit quick on to this part, and then I would be opening the house for a question answer session. Sample size, many people, right from their PhDs to their what should I say, their research papers, they're tangled with this question that you would be asked such questions in your, even in your vivas, how you picked up a sample size. Okay, see, if you picked up a sample size based on certain formulas, certain methods, I would give you a summary of it. I'm not getting into the details. Okay, so I would give you a simple idea of onto that thing. That see, you can pick up a sample based on either a previous study, or you can increase that sample. But while someone starts with the research, they're very confident about this idea that, okay, come on, 1,000, I would get those 1,000 samples. Remember that response rates are low. Response mechanisms are very low. Please don't use, please don't be under this idea that if you send a questionnaire on an email or on a WhatsApp, that's saying that, okay, please refer to this questionnaire and answer these questions, and people would be very happy. People don't do that. Okay, you and me keep receiving such on emails and such groups of research and everything, but how many questionnaire do we answer on to? That becomes a question mark. Okay, so hence remember that response rates are low. The size, the sample that you are picking up, the sample size, either you pick up from the based on certain formulas or calculated tables, which I have already shown it to you. There are certain calculations which are already prevailing, so you can just go forward and pick up from that thing. You can pick up earlier researches which can be of help to you. You can I already told about the similar studies. You can calculate that, or based on what is the level of precision that you are. And remember one simple thing: if you are in confusion, okay, if the study is not not in, if you are in any confusion, increase the sample size. That's the best way of removing any confusion. Okay, then your study would become reliable also, viable also, validate also, and generalized also. So with this, I would, I'm not, as of now, I'm not getting into these details, but this is what I would generally, talk about these ideas, that things can be done better. Start with simple steps, small steps, right from handling right from handling a research papers to doing PhDs. Start with small steps. You may have certain complications. Approach to your friends, approach to your seniors. Your guides are the better ones. Uh, anyone who can simplify the things. Don't try to create a complex structure and then trying to I've stopped the presentation, Aarti ma'am. uh, so don't try to complicate the system, because as a young researcher you have got many revolutionary ideas revolving around that. I would do this, I would get out of this. I think this is not the way research should be done. I do agree with that thing. I'm not saying that you follow a wrong method of doing it, or just bypass the right method of doing. Never do that. But please be honest to what you are, what you can do. Have an honest judgment on to everything. Okay, what type of resources are available? Based on this thing, please design the design that you create. That is something which would be the design that you create. That is the blueprint. So if you have think about a house that you are going to construct to live in with a wrong design. Okay, so that's the impact that I'm talking about. With this, I put a rest onto it. uh, I open my discussion now for question answer. Should you have any questions, you can go ahead and ask me. Yes, please go ahead and ask me the questions.
Sir, I want to share something.
Please, Aarti ma'am, please do.
Sir, for a survey type of researches,
Yes, ma'am.
the number that is n
Yep.
should be large. Maybe 300 or 400.
Okay.
And for experimental researches, it should be less, like 30 for control and 30 for experimental group.
Absolutely,
So
because
am
you
I
won't
right?
get, ma'am. See, Aarti ma'am, if
Yes,
you are
sir.
following an experimental design, that means you are trying to tread into a path which may not be well traveled path. Okay.
Yes.
So even if it's an exploratory research or maybe an experimental design that if you are trying to follow, you may not get many respondents, quick respondents, unlike a descriptive research.
Yes, sir.
Okay, in a descriptive research, like say, I give you an example that I want to do a brand satisfaction survey or anything like that. So such you have got you have got a already laid sample from where you have to collect the data. So obviously your research design and that's what my point is, Aarti ma'am. You raised a very valid point, and thank you for that. Your starting point of research is the question that you want to get into. That's the starting point of your research. So if you have picked up a right question to to ask, then probably the rest things would obviously follow. So based on the question that you have framed, now dwell upon that, what type of design, and then dwell upon this idea that if I'm following this type of design, then what type of sample size should I follow on. So this this entire things are linked, and that's where I always told you, ma'am, there is a general tendency that we want numbers. Okay, that's what I was telling you. How many samples you have put in, or what is that, how many tests you have put in. Despite of the fact that I can tell you an answer with a simple test, but no, we are not happy. We want to put in extra test. Okay, of so-called what we are told, confirmatory tests. Confirmatory tests are good, but the point is that, are you obsessed just with the numbers? That should not be the case.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Any other questions, anyone?
Sir, this is Pooja here, sir.
Yes, Pooja ma'am, please go ahead.
I hope you can hear me.
Yes, ma'am, you are quite audible.
Sir, the question is regarding the first part of the session.
Yes, ma'am.
Sir, where you have said you have to write with respect to the depending upon, you should not be relating anything with respect to your thesis or research part, PhD part.
No,
But
ma'am.
then one thing, if the title, if the research title has been divided into two, and writing with respect to and correlating them with not similar to the topic, sorry, not to the PhD topic, but similar to the topic, will it be okay?
Yes, ma'am, absolutely. That's
Sorry,
what I.
sir, you are in trouble.
No, ma'am, I'm really sorry.
No, no,
That's
it's
what I
okay.
requested, ma'am. You
Uh-huh.
cannot. This is my advice to you, that please do not pick up the same topic, but pick up a similar topic.
For example, sir, I have a title. For
Yeah, ma'am.
example, I have a title
Yes, ma'am.
which correlates to, if I want to be very peculiar with my topic, I am working on clusters and certain methodology.
Okay.
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 If I divide it into two parts, if my title has been divided into two parts, I would be working one on cluster and the second would be on certain methodology.
Okay.
Can I write a research paper correlating with this two different top subtitles, and then again put it into my research area, and saying that I have done on this, so I can use these two topics on cluster and also the methodology in my research, my PhD thesis also? Will it be okay?
Okay. Let me give an example, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
Say, for example, I picked up, say, my research cover Madhya Pradesh, okay, the entire state. And I
Okay.
picked up, or say, I have picked up Indore district. And, under the Indore district, I have done, say, survey of 5 tehsils, for example. While I'm writing a research paper, I can pick up, since you have talked about cluster. So while I'm doing a research paper, I can talk about, say, only one tehsil. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So
Go
I
ahead,
can
sir.
talk, rather than talking about in the entire Indore, I can talk about one tehsil. I can pick up, I can do a research paper just based on one tehsil. Okay. That, say, consumer preference towards this brand in, say, in this area. Okay. So I give you a small idea, not the idea of the entire Indore. And this precaution, I have told you to please be exercised until and unless your thesis is published. Once your thesis is published, it's already in public domain, then it doesn't matter.
Sir, I want to
Okay,
ask
sir.
something, sir.
Yes, please.
Sir, this is Rahman from Tripura, Agartala. Sir,
Yes.
if I want to represent my state, whole state,
Okay. Yes, sir.
my sample is connected to specific 2 districts.
Okay.
So, is it viable, sir, to work with 2 districts, and uh, in the whole topic, I will represent Tripura or my state?
Sir, you're talking about the thesis, or you're talking about
Sample.
No,
I am taking
you're
from 2
talking
districts.
about the thesis, or you're talking about a research paper?
On my thesis, sir.
Okay, sir, in your thesis, it's it's preferable that if you are talking about Tripura as an entire state, then you should have the sample coming up from the representative districts.
It should cover all districts, sir.
Yes, absolutely, yes, sir.
But sir, if I consider 2 districts on basis of HDI index, one is highest HDI rate, and another is aspirational district with the lowest HDI index, and
Sir, the only point that I'm trying to tell you is that based on the topic that you have picked up, please understand this thing, based on the topic and the objective that you have picked up, you should be able to justify the sample selection. Say, for example, if I have picked up a topic which is, say, for example, I have picked up a certain initiative of government. Say, for example, I'm just trying to clarify you my idea.
Yes, sir.
If I picked up an example from a certain government's, I'm doing a study on certain scheme of government which is just launched in 2 districts. Okay.
Yeah.
Then I would be doing study clearly on 2 districts. That's it.
Yeah.
Okay. Because then other districts are irrelevant for that study.
Okay.
So please understand that based on the topic that you have chosen, we need to understand that the topic that we have chosen, that would enable us to determine that how spread the sample should have. What exactly I'm trying to put across, on what is the content of my study, what are the objectives of my study. Based on that, please select on that thing.
Okay, sir.
Okay. So any further questions, or I believe that's the end of the thing?
Sir, I have a question. Am I audible?
Yes, please, ma'am. Please go ahead.
My name is Rashida Khan.
Yes, ma'am.
Good evening, first of all. Sir, I'm
Good
doing
evening,
my
ma'am.
PhD research on the impact of socio-cultural factors on the buying behavior of Gen Y and Gen Z.
Okay.
So because I have taken these two things, so will it fall under the category of stratified random sampling?
It may, yes, it may, provided, ma'am, again, we are, if we are picking up a random sample, then I told you that based to do some random thing, we should have some list.
Okay.
Okay. So, I should have, how would I pick up a sample? So based on certain criteria, say, based on, say, you have picked up that Gen Y and Gen Z.
Yes,
so,
yes.
if you have got some list, or if you have got certain certain way that you can contact the Gen Z and Gen Y, you can go ahead and pick up and distinctive characteristics. Obviously, during your study you might have picked up distinctive characteristics that again non-overlapping characteristics. Okay.
Okay.
So that's an important thing to pick up a stratified sample.
Okay, sir. So mostly for Gen Z, I'll be collecting data from university students, mostly who are above 18.
Absolutely agreed, ma'am. I do understand these terms. So absolutely,
it will fall under that category of random
yes,
certified random sampling.
It may fall.
Okay, sir. Okay, thank you so much, sir. I have two more questions based on this only.
Yes, please.
Sir, you just explained a snowball method of sampling. It was asked in the net exam also. So I remember it. So, sir, in snowball sampling, you mostly use the referral method. Means one of my respondent will
refer me to someone else.
Whenever we, mostly we, in case of social science research, we prepare a questionnaire and we just distribute it through various social media group. So when one participant fills this form, he just mostly what we do, we just ask that participant to forward this to his family member and others also. So that can be called as snowball sampling? Because one respondent is passing the thing to other.
Ma'am, see, there is a what should I say? You need to understand the difference between the two. There is some part of convenience sampling and some part of referral sampling. Referral samplings are generally like that. You are not very clear about the characteristics. Let's say I say from this 91 people, I don't know who all can smoke. Say if I'm doing a research on smoking, out of this 91 people who are attending my class as of now, or this session as of now, I don't know, 90 it has reduced, but one has escaped. So out of this 90 people, I don't know how many smoke. Okay. So if I want to, I have got a very peculiar characteristics. So if I want to catch hold of one smoking person, then I have to go on with another smoking. He would refer me to another smoking person. This is one part of it. Can be that, like say I asked you, ma'am, you are employed in a certain college or you are working in certain area. Now please help me with getting the questionnaire filled from that college or questionnaire filled from that university. Like you're saying that you would be doing.
Yes, exactly. Only I am trying to collect the data.
So that's how people do that. You give it to someone who is known to you and then ask them to collect that data. Now this person whom you have given to this data to collect, say for example, if you have given it to me, now I cannot give it to every student. What I can do is that I would call up the students who are more under my influence, and I would give it to them that get this data.
Yes.
It's more of a convenience thing. Okay. So you would be approaching those universities, specifically those would be and in sampling also, ma'am, you can always have a mixed method of the sampling. Okay. That at times you are using convenience and at times you are using reference.
Okay, sir. So can I put this thing that I have collected this data through snowball sampling?
Yes, you can. No issues on that thing.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much. Sir, actually, my area, one more question I have. Sorry.
Please, ma'am.
I really like your session, sir, because it is something now whatever concept you have taught with examples. So it has become very clear for me.
Thank you, ma'am.
I really appreciate, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Sir, actually, I have taken Mumbai as my data. So for Mumbai, I will be dividing it into South Mumbai, North Mumbai, and Mumbai Central, Mumbai Harbour. This way, I will be collecting data from these many areas. So it will be definitely, will it be an example of cluster sampling?
Ma'am, again, I would try and do the same example to you. See, if you can randomize this entire thing, then this would become a cluster.
Okay. I'll be collecting randomly, sir.
That's what I'm saying. See, random are most appropriate way of sampling, and they are the most reliable way of sampling, because you can, random, every population member has got an equal chance to be selected. I'm not applying.
Method.
Yeah. So that's where, if I'm using cluster on that thing to say that Mumbai as an area, and based on that thing, I'm dividing Mumbai on based on this area. Now, remember this thing. If you are dividing Mumbai based on these areas, then there would be some logic of dividing Mumbai based on these areas.
Okay.
That would be applied to your, because you have to explain this logic while you are writing sampling. That why why you picked up this way of sampling and not the other way. I hope you're getting my point.
Okay, sir.
Okay. So see,
remember, what could be the justification in that, sir? Because my guide had suggested me that if you're taking Mumbai, so do not take Mumbai as a whole, to collect data from different parts like South, Central, and Harbour, because this is how Mumbai is divided. Mostly we South Mumbai ka ye hai, North Mumbai ka hai.
Now, based on, again, the simple answer to this is that whenever you are picking up a sample, you are picking up a sample, there is some logic behind it, based on which the logic you pick up the sample.
Okay.
Now, what my point I am trying to explain you to is that, see, based on, again, your research objective and your research topic, can you justify this thing that people, see, the Gen Z and Gen Y people who live in Harbour are different from the people who live in South Mumbai or those Central Mumbaians or things like that? If the answer is yes, then go ahead with it.
Yes, sir, because my topic is the impact of socio-cultural factors. So culturally, they may have different characteristics.
Ma'am, that's what I'm saying. I'm just trying to give you a wider answer onto it. So that all those who are listening to me, at times their queries would also be solved based on the questions that you're posing to me, ma'am.
Okay, sir.
What happens, ma'am? What happens, ma'am? That if, again, my answer is simple, that if you can justify that the criteria of picking up a sample that you have chosen, the logic that of the sample that you have chosen is justifiable based on the objective, like say you just pointed out to me that that you picked up a topic, say
socio-cultural factor on the mind behavior.
Socio-cultural factors are different in entire Mumbai, and based on the demographic pattern of the Mumbai, that if you study the demographic pattern, means the socio-cultural pattern I'm talking about. Those patterns, if you study, then Mumbai can be divided into these many zones. Point number one. Point number two, there would be previous studies which may not be similar, which may be similar to you, not the exact studies. There would be previous studies which may be similar to you, which might have divided Mumbai into these zones, and they might have talked about this idea that that Mumbai is different on socio-cultural parameters if you compare, say, South Mumbai with the Central Mumbai. You getting my point? So if you have got such studies and such arguments with you, go ahead and do that.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much. I'm very grateful to you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. So I believe that's it for the day. Not taking much of your Sunday, not consuming much of your Sunday.
You made us Sunday, sir. You made us Sunday.
Thank you. Thank you very much, ma'am. It's so kind of you.
Sir. We have enjoyed your session, sir, and learned a lot. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Pooja ma'am, you have raised your hand. There is some query still left.
Yes, sir. One small, but it's little bit important. Nearby Rashida ma'am has taken up. But one point where we are having different areas within the sectors itself. For example, in business sector, this is an example, sir. Please clear me on that.
Please,
In the
please, please.
in the business sector, there are different other sectors which are related to business orientation.
Okay.
But at the same moment, how do we choose in the research area? Give me an example on that. So how do we connect where I'm talking about the cluster, and if I want to take certain department, in that way also we can consider a certain department of business and putting in to paper. Will it be also be okay? Also with sampling also.
Ma'am, if I got your question right, let me put it that way. Please correct me with your question, and then I would be able to
I
answer.
hope so, sir. I hope so.
Ma'am, you hail from which state?
Sir, I hail from Maharashtra, sir.
Great. I was expecting that. Ma'am, if I want to do a sugar mill study in Maharashtra, okay, then there is a particular, area in which sugar mills are concentrated. Am I right?
Yes.
So why should I choose a cluster sample then? Because it is already a known factor that sugar mills are concentrated in a particular area. My understanding to it says that why should I pick up a particular area? Because this is an evident fact that in a particular, say, Vidarbh region or in a particular region, there is a largest concentration of sugar mill.
Right.
Okay. So why I should be troubling about, or why I should be bothering about choosing a cluster sampling? I can direct see if I'm doing a sector based study,
right,
okay, which is concentrated on sugar mills. So I should pick up sugar mills and do my studies based on. Now I can pick up a sample from sugar mills and do my study accordingly.
Okay.
So why should I, this is my opinion on this, that why I should be bothered about picking up a cluster sample for that.
Okay. Great, sir. Great, sir. Great. You made it a day, as Rashida ma'am said. You made a day, sir. You made a day.
It's
Thank
so
you.
kind of you.
Thank you.
Unless
true,
and
sir.
yes, ma'am, please.
It's true, sir. You made Sunday evening.
Ma'am, it's so kind of you, and you have been there all the way with me, and I'm equally thankful to RFI and Ajay sir for giving me this opportunity to interact with you, everyone. And enough of your time I have consumed, so I thank you, everyone. I always believe in that thing. A good teacher is a byproduct of a good audience or a good students, whatever I can say. So if I was able to deliver anything or something to you, it's equally, your contribution into that thing. So I'm my heartfelt thanks to everyone who's
Sir, it's your humbleness, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Sir, please do share your mail if possible, if you're okay with it.
No
Your
issues,
number.
ma'am. Absolutely no issues on that thing, ma'am.
Please do, sir.
I would write in the chat as of now.
Yeah, great. It would be great, sir. It would be great. It would be great. Thank you.
Here is it. This is my personal ID. It's I've been using it for years now. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, sir.